Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. This isn't about bad dad jokes or embarrassing dance moves at school events. This is about a stepdad who's been quietly funding, supporting, and parenting a teenager for years. The jokes aren't on him. They're on the stepkid. Today in the rLounge, when you mock the hand that's been feeding you designer clothes, chauffeur services, and $24,000 a year tuition, reality has a nasty way of biting back. Entitled Stepdaughter told me I wasn't her real parent, so I took back everything I provided for her. Now she's begging. I, 42 male, married my wife, 39 female, about 7 years ago. She has a daughter, 16 female, from a previous marriage, who I've been raising since she was 9 years old. Her biological father is barely in the picture. He sends the occasional birthday card with a $50 gift card and maybe calls once every few months, but that's about it. I've essentially been her primary father figure for nearly half her life. When I married my wife, I knew I was signing up to be a stepfather. I took that responsibility seriously. I pay for her private school tuition, around $24,000 a year, all her extracurricular activities, dance, soccer, piano lessons, designer clothes, the latest iPhone, and pretty much anything else she wants and needs. I've never tried to replace her biological dad, but I've done my best to be there for her in all the ways that count. Things were going well for several years. We had our ups and downs like any family, but overall, I thought we had a good relationship. She called me by my first name, which was fine with me. I didn't need her to call me Dad to feel like we had a connection. Recently, though, she's become increasingly distant and moody, so I tried to give her space. One day, I was walking past her bedroom and overheard her on FaceTime with her friends. The door was partially open, and I heard her laughing and mocking me as her fake dad. She was bragging about how easily she could manipulate me into buying her things and saying she just tolerated me for the financial benefits. She laughed about how I was trying too hard and said it was pathetic how much I wanted her to like me. I stood there a minute, in shock. I decided to take some time to process what I'd heard before saying anything. A few days later, I tried to have a heart-to-heart with her about her behavior and our relationship. She barely looked up from her phone the entire time, rolling her eyes and giving one-word answers. When I asked if there was anything bothering her or if I had done something to upset her, she just shrugged and said, "Everything's fine," in that dismissive teenage tone. A couple weeks later, she asked me for a $1,200 prom dress, plus money for professional hair and makeup. Despite her recent attitude, I agreed. I wanted to support her for her special night, and honestly, I was hoping that maybe doing something nice for her would help improve our relationship. I even took a half day off work to pick up her altered dress. While I was waiting, I spotted a necklace in the display case that would match her dress perfectly. I bought it for $350 as a surprise gift for her. Prom night came, and her boyfriend's car broke down. I offered to drive them both to the venue. In the car, she was clearly embarrassed by my presence. She barely spoke to me and kept texting on her phone the entire ride. As they were getting out of the car, I overheard her whispering to her boyfriend, "Just ignore him. He's not even my real dad." I pretended not to hear it, wished them both a good night, and drove away feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. The day after prom, I asked her to help with a simple household chore, just taking out the trash since I was busy cooking dinner. That's when she completely exploded. "You're not my father. You can't tell me what to do. You're just some guy my mom married. Stop pretending you're my dad." My wife was standing right there and said absolutely nothing. She just looked uncomfortable and then walked out of the room, leaving me to deal with the fallout. After my stepdaughter stormed off, I finished making dinner in silence, feeling completely undermined and disrespected in my own home. Later that night, I tried to talk to my wife about what happened. I told her how hurt I was, not just by our daughter's outburst, but by her silence. She downplayed the whole thing. "She's just a teenager. You know she doesn't mean it." I pointed out that this wasn't a one-time thing. It had been an ongoing pattern of disrespect. My wife suggested I was being too sensitive and should just let it go because that's how teenagers are. A couple days later, I discovered something that made everything much worse. My stepdaughter had been posting videos on TikTok mocking me. In several videos, she referred to me as her ATM with legs and joked about how she only has to pretend to like him until college is paid for. These videos had thousands of likes, with her friends commenting, laughing emojis, and things like "sugar daddy without the benefits," and "at least he's useful for something." I confronted her about the TikTok videos. She just shrugged and said, "It's just jokes. Not my fault you can't take one." When I explained how hurtful it was to be mocked publicly, she rolled her eyes and said, "Whatever, it's not like you're my real dad anyway. You're just trying to buy my love." My wife, once again, minimized the situation. "She's just being a kid online. All teenagers post stuff like that. You shouldn't take it so seriously." That was the final straw for me. After years of financial and emotional support, being treated like nothing more than a wallet with legs was too much. I decided it was time to take a step back, both financially and emotionally. I contacted her private school and informed them I would not be paying for the next year's tuition. I canceled the credit card I had given her for emergencies, which she used for everything from Starbucks to Uber Eats. I also called and canceled her registration for an expensive summer camp, $5,000, that she'd been looking forward to. A few days later, she discovered her credit card didn't work while shopping with friends. She called me, absolutely furious, demanding I fix it immediately. I told her, "Since I'm not your real parent, I shouldn't be financially responsible for you. Your real dad can handle these expenses." My wife confronted me that evening, demanding to know why I had canceled the credit card and school tuition. I explained my position clearly. I've been treated like an ATM, not a parent. I'm respecting her wishes to not be her father figure. She called me petty and childish for punishing a teenager. I pointed out that I wasn't punishing her. I was simply honoring her repeated statements that I'm not her parent. If I'm not her parent, then I have no obligation to pay for private school, designer clothes, or expensive summer camps. The school sent an email about the tuition deposit deadline approaching. My wife started to panic, realizing I was serious about not paying. She called her ex-husband, the biological father, who apparently laughed and said, "That's your problem now." He certainly wasn't going to step up and pay for private school. My daughter approached me for the first time in weeks, asking about her allowance. I reminded her of her statements about me not being her real parent and explained that I was respecting her wishes by no longer acting as her financial provider. My wife had to inform her that she would need to transfer to the local public high school next year. My stepdaughter had a complete meltdown, screaming that all her friends were at a private school and that her life would be ruined. I overheard her yelling at her mother to fix this, make him pay. Her expensive summer plans started falling apart too. Her friends were posting about their upcoming European trip that she had been planning to join. Without my financial support, she could no longer afford to go. Suddenly, she started being nicer to me, bringing me coffee in the morning, asking about my day. She awkwardly asked if we could talk about school. During this conversation, she tried to explain away her previous behavior as just joking around and said I had misunderstood her. I listened but explained that her words had consequences, and I was respecting her wishes did not have me act as her father, including financially. Then I got a call from her biological father, the first time he'd reached out to me directly in years. He was angry, saying I had abandoned his daughter and that I signed up for this when I married her mother. I reminded him that he's the real father and should be handling these expenses if he's so concerned. He hung up on me when I suggested he start paying the private school tuition. My wife and I had a conversation about our marriage. I explained that I felt used and unappreciated by both her and her daughter. I told her that I was hurt by how she had failed to stand up for me or address her daughter's disrespectful behavior. She admitted she should have done more, but said she was afraid of damaging her relationship with her daughter. I made it clear. I'm willing to be a supportive husband, but I won't resume the financial burden for someone who openly disrespects me. I explained that I didn't make this decision lightly, but that there needed to be consequences for such blatant disrespect. She asked if I would reconsider if her daughter apologized. I told her that an apology forced by financial necessity wouldn't be genuine. This isn't about getting an apology. Her daughter had made it abundantly clear that she didn't respect me as a parental figure, so I was adjusting my role accordingly. Some people might think I'm being harsh, but I don't see it that way. I've spent years providing for a child who isn't biologically mine, asking for nothing in return except basic respect. When that respect was not only withheld but publicly mocked, something had to change. I'm not cutting her off completely. She still has a roof over her head, food to eat, and all the necessities. She still gets an education, just at a public school instead of an expensive private one. She won't be jetting off to Europe with her friends or carrying the latest designer bag, but those are luxuries, not necessities. My stepdaughter made her feelings clear. I'm not her real parent. I'm just respecting her wishes and acting accordingly. If she wants the financial benefits of having me as a father figure, then she needs to accept the relationship that comes with it, including basic respect. I didn't sign up to be an ATM. I signed up to be a stepfather, with all the emotional investment, time, and yes, financial support that entails. But that role has to go both ways. Without the respect and acknowledgement of my role in her life, I can't continue to provide the financial extras. Some might say I should be the bigger person because she's just a teenager. But at 16, she's old enough to understand that her words and actions have consequences. This is a life lesson that will serve her well. You can't treat people poorly and expect them to keep giving you things. Update. It's been about a month since my last post, and I wanted to give an update on the situation with my stepdaughter. A lot of you asked for one, so here it is. The last few weeks have been tense in our house, to say the least. My stepdaughter has been giving me the silent treatment, occasionally throwing tearful glances my way when she thinks I'm not looking. My wife is caught in the middle, trying to appease both of us while clearly stressed about the whole situation. My stepdaughter's friends had been posting all over social media about shopping for their European trip, the one she was supposed to go on before I stopped funding her extravagant lifestyle. One day, I came home from work to find her locked in her room. My wife said she'd been in there for hours after seeing her friends' posts. My wife told me she's been trying to get her ex, the biological father, to contribute something toward the private school tuition, but he's now blocked her calls. Apparently, he got tired of her harassment about financial responsibility for his own daughter. She asked if I would reconsider paying for at least half the tuition, suggesting that maybe we could work out some kind of compromise. I declined and suggested they look into financial aid or scholarships if private school was that important. The private school sent their final notice about the tuition payment deadline. When it passed without payment, my wife officially enrolled our stepdaughter in the local public high school. That night, my stepdaughter refused to come out of her room for dinner. My wife took a plate to her, but I heard it hit the door a few minutes later. Real mature. A few days after that, my phone blew up with text from my stepdaughter. "Please, can we talk? I didn't mean what I said. Everyone at public school will hate me. Please don't ruin my life over one mistake." I only responded once. It wasn't one mistake. It was a pattern of disrespect that you chose to make public. She didn't reply to that. My wife found her messaging her biological father, practically begging him to help with the tuition. His response was pretty cold. Something about how he has other kids to support now and can't afford private school. I think this was the first time she truly realized that he was never going to step up for her. My wife says she cried for hours after that conversation. Meanwhile, her friends left for the European trip and have been posting constant updates on social media. All these glamorous photos in the front of the Eiffel Tower and the Colosseum, places she was supposed to be. Then her expensive laptop, the one I bought her last year, conveniently broke. She came to me hesitantly asking if I would consider replacing it since she needs one for school. I told her I'd help her find a part-time job so she could save up for a more modest replacement. She actually took my advice and got a job at a local ice cream shop. Her first week there, several of her private school friends came in. From what my wife told me, they were pretty nasty about seeing her behind the counter, making comments about how she must be really desperate to be working at a place like that. She came home fuming, but didn't say anything directly to me. After 2 weeks of working, she had saved some money, not nearly enough for the kind of high-end laptop she was used to, but a start. She asked if I would help her shop for a reasonably priced laptop. I agreed to match what she'd saved dollar for dollar. She seemed surprised by my offer, but accepted it. Public school orientation day came around. She got dressed that morning like she was heading to a funeral. All black, minimal makeup, hair pulled back. When she came home, she was sulking, complaining about how gross the school is compared to her private school. The bathrooms are disgusting, the classrooms are overcrowded, and the other students are total losers. She pointedly ignored me at dinner that night. My wife is still trying to mediate the situation. She keeps telling me that our stepdaughter is learning her lesson and suggesting that maybe I've made my point, but I don't think she's really gotten it yet. She's still acting like this is some temporary punishment that will eventually end if she just waits it out or manipulates the situation correctly. I've made it clear to my wife that this isn't a punishment with an expiration date. This is our new normal. I'm not going to suddenly start paying for private school again just because a few weeks have passed. My stepdaughter made her feelings about me very clear, and I'm respecting her wishes by not acting as her financial provider. Some of you asked in the comments of my original post I was planning to divorce my wife over this. The answer is no, at least not right now. This situation has definitely put a strain on our marriage, but we're working through it. She understands why I did what I did, even if she doesn't fully agree with it. A few commenters suggested I was being too harsh and should forgive her because teens say hurtful things they don't mean. Maybe that's true for occasional outbursts, but this was a sustained campaign of disrespect that included publicly humiliating me on social media. So where do we stand now? My stepdaughter is starting to realize that her biological father isn't going to swoop in and save her from public school. She's learning that money doesn't grow on trees and that working for minimum wage is a lot harder than posting TikTok videos mocking your stepfather. Is she sorry? Maybe. Is she sorry because she genuinely regrets hurting me? Or just sorry that her comfortable lifestyle has been disrupted? I think we all know the answer to that. You are way too nice. You've basically been a full-time dad, a chauffeur, a stylist, and a walking credit card for the last 7 years. And she repays you by broadcasting your generosity on TikTok like it's a punchline. That's next level ungrateful. And your wife? She literally stood there while her daughter verbally detonated you and then waved it off like a sneeze. Oof. This is exactly why step-parenting is simultaneously the noblest and most thankless job in existence. What do you make of this? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.